First of all, thank you for joining us at the university. This afternoon, I'm A. Scott Weber, Provost here at the University of Buffalo. As you know, earlier today, New York State Governor Andrew M. Cuomo and the State University of New York, SUNY, announced that all SUNY and CUNY study abroad programs in China, Iran, Italy, Japan, and South Korea have been suspended effective immediately in response to concerns about COVID-19. At UB, this means that 9 of our students currently studying abroad in Italy and South Korea have been instructed to return to the United States. We have 8 students in Italy and 1 in South Korea. As was announced earlier today, our students will be transported back to the U.S. in chartered flights arranged by SUNY from South Korea, Italy, and Japan to New York Stewart International Airport in the coming days. We contacted each UB student and informed them of this decision, and we are currently assisting SUNY in coordinating our students' return. We don't have any additional details about those travel arrangements to share with you at this time. As was stated by UB President Satish K. Tripathi, the arrangement of charter flights to return SUNY and CUNY students to the U.S. is an extraordinary gesture by the governor. The UB community appreciates the governor's efforts to help keep UB and our students safe. As our students return, UB will take all necessary steps to ensure that they have an opportunity to continue and complete their studies in accordance with the CDC's guidelines. In addition to recalling students from the impacted countries, UB and SUNY have canceled all campus-sponsored travel to impacted countries for the remainder of this semester. UB also is suspending all international experiential learning programs planned for the spring 2020 semester, including those planned over the university's upcoming spring break. We made these decisions because the health and safety of our students is of paramount importance to the university, whether they're pursuing their education at our home campus or anywhere in the world. Here at our home campuses in Buffalo, President Tripathi yesterday announced the formation of a COVID-19 advisory committee at the university comprised of faculty, students, and staff across our whole community. Here at our home campuses in Buffalo, the purpose of the advisory committee is to provide perspective and advice regarding UB's readiness during this evolving situation and to assist the university in its planning and response to COVID-19. We encourage every member of our community to stay informed about COVID-19 and to practice the healthy habits recommended by the CDC. To that end, UB has developed a COVID-19 website to provide factual information from authoritative sources such as the CDC, the New York State Department of Health, and the Erie County Department of Health. I would like to stress that we update this website continuously, and so please check it for important updates from UB, the CDC, the state, and the county health departments. And with that, I'd be glad to take a few questions.
Are those non-students being housed at UB when they come back? And are there students from other student universities also housed here?
It's our understanding from the governor's announcement that the students will be housed at selected SUNY campuses upon their return. We're not sure which ones they'll be at this time.
So they might be on this campus or somewhere else in the state?
It's possible, but I think we do not know that at this time.
Are you making any preparations for that to be a possibility here?
We've not been notified that those students are coming to our campus.
Will UB be implementing a policy to retroactively monitor the students who have already returned to the U.S. and returned to UB who are studying abroad in Italy? I was made aware of one young woman who came yesterday to UB's campus to speak with an advisor, and she was on the Italy program, and she, as we came back several days ago, this was before the vice president announced that they would be screening that came from flights that were originating in Italy and other locations like that.
Sure.
So she said she faced no screening in JFK, no screening in Italy. So how will the university deal with that?
So the university is following all the CDC protocols and guidelines at this time. Obviously, we Sue Snyder, our Director of Health Services here, is with us today and can answer some of these questions in more detail if you have those. Again, as I said, we're following those guidelines, and we have been working very, very closely in collaboration with the Erie County Department of Health to use the appropriate sort of screening guidelines. We're encouraging our students to contact our health services should there be any concerns that they have or other students have.
Will this decision have any academic impact on these students?
So one of our core principles here at the University of Buffalo is for academic continuity of our students as they return from these experiences, whether they be here or elsewhere. And in fact, some of the programs they're already enrolled in have the opportunity to continue those programs through distance learning at those home institutions. So we're working very diligently, I think, and appropriately to maintain sort of academic continuity for all of these students.
Has the university weighed which possible dormitory locations for possible quarantine sites, like on North Campus or South Campus at all?
Sure. So the university has been diligently working since about middle of January on this sort of situation, the COVID-19. It wasn't called that then. And we have been thinking about all operations on the campus, from the academic continuity question that was just asked, from a research continuity. Obviously, we're a Research One public university. We have significant research labs that are conducting research at all time, and our business operations. We've had constant conversations with our housing and dining facilities about what we might do in the event that we had such situations, and we think we have some plans that are evolving through that process, should we be needed.
Would that involve relocation of any students?
It would possibly require the relocation of some students to do that, yes.
In regards to students abroad in other countries, not five mentioned earlier
Yes.
today, has there been any plans or discussions of, their future? Do you anticipate they're going to stay there for the rest of the semester?
Again, we will always follow the best guidelines we are given from the CDC and other agencies, our own local and state. At this time, the only programs that we are addressing are those in the 5 impacted countries, and we do have other students studying abroad in other countries, England and others. At this time, we are allowing those programs to continue.
Could you or Susan talk about the challenge of constantly changing protocol? We heard from Susan a month ago, we were
Right.
here, and at that point there were about 700 Chinese students who had come back, and at that time the protocol was, if you're not showing symptoms, you can keep coming to class. Is it safe to say that protocol is different today? I mean, if somebody arrives...
Again, Susan Snyder, who is the director of our Student Health Center.
Thanks. It's a great question. It is ever evolving. So every day we are monitoring what's happening, what's the CDC saying, what is New York State saying, what is the local government saying. What we do is, if we have a student of concern, so whether it is a travel history that's concerning or whether they have flu-like symptoms that are concerning them, we're triaging those students, we're collecting the information, and we're talking to Erie County. Erie County is really guiding us as to what we need to do for those students. So they get calls really on a case-by-case basis from us, and we're asking them what medically they want us to do, but also, is this a self-isolation? Is this a quarantine situation? So because it's ever evolving, we're going one step backwards sort of in the line. So it's CDC, New York State, Erie County, and then us. We go to Erie County. If they need to go backwards to New York State, they will do that on our behalf. They're getting direct case-by-case information for us.
Are there any students currently, either here or elsewhere, under quarantine?
We are actually following, and we're aligned with Erie County on this. We're not going to talk about numbers of quarantine or number of people tested. Our main concern, and what we would share with the UB community as well as Erie County would share, is if we have a confirmed case, which there is no confirmed case in Erie County, which includes all 3 of our campuses.
We understand from talking with the county executive and the health commissioner today that there were indeed UB students that traveled from China that were tested and were tested negative. Can you explain that process and how that all came about and how you were able to discern that?
Sure. So this was early in our process, early in our knowledge of COVID-19. Really when the students were returning for the spring semester, we had contact with some students who were coming back from mainland China, and we talked with them, gathered really good travel information from them, and talked with Erie County about what the risk factors were at that time and whether they needed to self-isolate, quarantine, if anyone needed to be tested. Through that triage process, there was a student who was identified as a potential needing to be tested. That person was tested negative. And so they were, their activities were not restricted beyond the 14-day quarantine.
They were quarantined here.
They were quarantined in the Buffalo area, yes.
What's your message for students, international students, or any students who are planning personal international travel over upcoming spring break? Are you going to recommend that they cancel those plans?
We strongly recommend they look at where they're going, where their layovers are, what the travel, if they have a way of backing out of that without a big financial impact. We're really recommending that students and really faculty and staff consider not traveling internationally.
Is it safe to say you've canceled all international trips for the rest of the semester? I know you've canceled the experiential learning trips. Was that the only ones you had planned?
So we have credit-bearing activities and trips, and then we have non-credit-bearing. And so it encompasses both of those. So when we talk about experiential learning, some of those are non-credit-bearing, maybe service trips, and those would have to be canceled.
So some credit-bearing trips, some international trips will still be taken between now and May?
No.
No, I'm sorry, I just want to
No.
clarify that.
Yeah.
No, we
no.
could safely say,
No student base. There are our faculty and staff who might be traveling to unaffected countries. We're still
yeah,
asking them to, be prudent,
yeah.
to show good discretion, check with their supervisors on the merits and the need for that travel. But we're not restricting that travel.
But all
Except to the 5.
student-based trips
Yes.
have been canceled for the rest of the semester, even if it's to an unaffected country.
That is correct.
Correct.
When you reached out to the 9 students and their families, what was the response from them? I mean, how are they handling the news of them having to leave their semester and come into quarantine?
I'm really sorry, I can't comment on that. I don't know the response. I wasn't the one doing the contacting, so I apologize. I can't share with that.
I wonder too if you have any reservations. Of course, the virus is still trying to be understood by scientists and medical professionals all over the world, but we are starting to understand that it may be, most deadly for older adults or people with pre-existing health conditions. Do you have any reservations about canceling these study abroad opportunities for who are, presumably young, healthy adults?
All right, I'll take it. The health and well-being of our students is of paramount importance to the university. We are showing abundance of caution in making this decision. We recognize there are implications to our students, which is why one of our core principles is academic continuity for them when they're returning. But I understand the question that you're asking. And there's never a clear path when it's such an evolving and uncertain situation. But we're doing what we think is the very, very best thing for our students.
Can students be tested at Michael Hall?
The testing right now is actually done at the New York State Department of Health, which is the Wadsworth Laboratory in Albany.
And the Erie County officials who, from the Department of Health, who reached out to the students who were not quarantined, who came home at the very end of February, are they being advised to be tested, or are they just being advised to self-quarantine at this time?
At this time, they are staying with the advice from the CDC, which is that unless they are symptomatic, they will not be tested. Now, I will say that is right now, and that could certainly change in the future. Testing is becoming more available, and so that guidance on who to test might change. But right now, it is really symptomatic individuals who are tested.
Will UV make its plans for campus dining, for instance, and campus living available to the public about how it plans to combat coronavirus?
I'll let,
Okay.
yeah, I'll let Scott answer that, but I will just say that one of the reasons why we don't publicize the details is it's a lot of what ifs, right? So planning is, if this happens, then this, if this happens, then this. Sometimes those, if taken out of context, make it sound like we're not organized enough to make a decision, but really it's a scenario-based plan.
So couldn't said it better myself. I mean, basically, we are developing a variety of scenarios under uncertain situations. We don't know which of those, if any of them, will actually come to fruition. Obviously, as those become necessary to implement, we'll clearly educate our community. That when we educate our community, we educate the broader community as well, and they'll be posted on our website, which I think is what's probably up here. I haven't looked behind me to know that, but I think that's probably what's there.
If it is determined that UB would be a quarantine site, would you make that information public, or are you able to make that information public?
I will defer to Sue, but I also defer to the Erie County Department of Health, who basically manages that process for the county.
We talked to Canisius yesterday, and they mentioned they are taking steps to prepare teachers, whether or not they need to move classes to an all-online system. They're taking a look at conference championships for their basketball team, commencement, whether those large-scale events will need to be moved or changed. Can you talk about your preparations for that?
Certainly can. We have a strong group right now that is developing a whole series of contingencies and sort of guidelines for taking every class we have to online environment. We believe we have the technology to do that. We're not planning to do that unless it's necessary. And this will be on a case-by-case basis. With regard to large-scale planning of large gatherings, this is a conversation that is being held nationally as the situation evolves. And of course, we're looking at all the types of events we have on campus, whether they be admissions events, a graduation, distinguished speaker series, any number of things of that nature.
Now, the university mentioned its town hall meeting on Thursday in this room, and I wanted to see to what extent students were invited to that meeting.
You know what, let me get some information on that, and I will get back to you. I don't know.
Okay. I hear an administrator's room there. But
I wasn't here, so I really can't speak to who was and who wasn't invited,
Okay.
but I will get the information.
Okay. Will it be an open forum of some sorts for students to answer questions rather than just the media?
I think we're continuing to, develop our plans on how we're communicating. We just sent out a communication earlier today. We're going to continue to send out more and more communications to our students.
Okay.
Thank you.